Oh, shit.
Let us know when we're going.
We have questions.
Watch the counter. We're really live? We're not still counting down to live?
Oh, apparently we're live.
Really, for real live?
Are we live
Can
now?
anybody see it on the screen?
It's not. It's still updating, but there's always gonna be a latency. So we're
Can
probably
anybody
live
actually see it live?
Can I get your microphone?
What is? Oh, lean into the shot. Yeah,
Proximity
I'll spin
effect.
in a little bit more
Proximity effect.
here.
Apparently we're being criticized,
Sorry, hold on.
actually called out as
Hang tight,
musicians.
Rockstars.
Chin?
We're coming. We're coming.
Shh, don't tell anybody.
Jorgen's being a little generous there.
This is how you hold the mic, guys.
Okay, everybody ready?
You're live. Jorgen's over live.
But are we alive?
I want my baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back.
To the 10 best
Barbecue
takes
sauce.
of Summer Namm 2017 breakdown Rockstar Roundtable webinar.
Hello.
You know, we're really live. It's for real live. We're really live. Okay, cool.
We are, yeah.
Cool.
Yes.
I think that we should try something that's never been done before, beyond the fact that this has actually never been done
You gotta
before.
say this.
First of all, let me just make sure you guys know you are in the right place. This is the F train. We will be stopping in Chinatown. So if you're if you want to go somewhere else, you're in the wrong spot. This is the 10 best takes of Summer Namm 2017 breakdown Rockstar Roundtable here.
Yes.
Oh yeah. At the
Woo.
Toy Box Studio.
It's a long
And I have an
hashtag.
incredible group of people here. And I think I'm going to ask everybody to please sing their own introductions. So let's go around here. And well, you can wrap it.
All right.
All right. So I am Lid Shaw, and this is Recording Studio Rockstars. And right next to me here,
Hello, I'm Dane from CustomTracks.com.
Dane Myers.
I'm Chris Graham from ChrisGrahamMastering.com.
Hey, Pete Woj with MixBetterNow.com.
I'm Warren Hewitt with Produce Like a Pro.
I'm Chris Lim from Mixdown Online.
A lot of websites. I'm Joe Gilder from Home Studio Corner.
I'm Brian Hood from the sixfigurehomestudio.com.
I'm Glenn Fricker from the YouTube channel Spectre Sound Studios.
Nice. Very nice. Hey, everybody, just a reminder, too, we have two cameras looking at us, but this is the one.
That's the one.
The one with the blue lights on it. The one that doesn't look fancy is the one that belongs to me. So, guys, we're all here because Summer Namm 2017. It's a pretty cool event. It's a lot of fun to do this. This is the most fun thing about it for me. So the fact that I guess I got to do a little bit of background on how we all ended up here, Rockstars. This is a group of people that I've known, although Glenn is a new friend. So this is a group that I've mostly known over the past year or so, strictly through the internet, strictly online, through podcast interviews, Google
Christian
Hangouts.
Mingle.
Yeah, Christian Mingle.
Tinder.
That's how me and Dane met.
And
We're mingling right now.
and so basically we had a chance to all get together for Summer Namm, and I said, why don't you guys all just come and stay at my studio? So we're all here, but most of us are here.
I sleep right there.
We had
Right
to
there.
remove the mattresses from this little spot right here. Pete, were you sleeping all right here, man?
Great, man.
Been good?
It's lovely.
All right, cool.
Thank you. It's great.
So yeah, and as a result, you know, I walked into Summer Namm and went into the middle of the floor ready with my iPhone and my microphone to kind of do some interviews and go meet people at booths. And all of a sudden I found myself at this little cross intersection at the intersection of Rupert Neve and Presonus. And there was everybody. I met Warren for the first time there. And I guess everybody else was kind of there already.
It was a pretty cool moment, yeah.
But it was a really
Nice.
remarkable moment to just all be hanging out there. So we decided to get together here in the studio and kind of give you a recap.
How wonderful
of
we
Namm.
should all meet next to Rupert Neve.
You know, it's an appropriate place for us to end up, isn't it? All right, so enough of me talking. Let's jump right into questions. I tried to keep it real simple, but I thought we'd just go around and kind of hit a few basic questions. And if they're terrible, let me know and we'll come up with new questions.
The answers are terrible.
All right, no. And, you know, one of the challenges, of course, is what we're doing is we're so busy kind of trying to do things that sometimes it's a little hard to see everything that's going on at Namm. And also, this is only the end of day 2. There's one more day, and that's a good day for us to learn more stuff. But let's
Remember
start.
to ask Glenn about line 6.
All right, cool.
You got to tell the story.
Okay.
Which one?
Let's go around, and we'll start with Dane here. And Dane, tell us about something. This is so geeky. Tell us about something cool, some hardware, something physical that you saw at NAMM this year. Anything just exciting, whatever. Doesn't have to be the best thing in the world, just whatever you.
I
caught your
got
eye.
really excited over the Yamaha Drums booth. I grew up playing drums, and they have these. I'm sure this probably isn't new, but it was the first time I experienced it and got to play on it. But there was they have triggers on the kick and snare drum, and they have a module where you can train your time. And so I deal with a lot of live performance and studio musicians and stuff like that. So the idea that somebody can sit at home for a few $100 and practice their time. It has a gate on it. So only when you're perfectly on the beat, burying the click, will it actually play the note from the module. So it was a pretty cool way to train your time. And I thought that was really innovative. And
It's about time.
It's about time.
It's about
That's
time.
Chris Graham.
Good
there.
dad joke there, buddy.
Chris Graham is always,
Hi.
he's always got a punchline for us.
I try.
Your timing.
You
is
have any
everything.
funny ones?
Yeah, I do it again. I'll try. I'll try.
Line 6.
I had a cool experience at NAMM today. I am just a total fanboy for Etymotic ER4 headphones. They're like they stick them in your ears and they like touch your brain and they like knock out 36 decibels of passive gain reduction. So you can be like in the loudest room in the world and not hear anything except for the gorgeous sound. And I saw their booth and I went over and I bought their new ER4S. They endorsed me for $279. So I bought a new pair of headphones today and I'm really excited.
Good man. Cool. So being the
Sorry.
So being the guitar geek that I am, I really like the new Universal Audio reactive load. I guess it's an attenuator, right? And you guys all see that? It's pretty cool. So I guess they're trying to get into the attenuator world where it's sort of you can connect it to your guitar head or your combo, and there's an app apparently that is in iOS. So you can sort of blend in a little bit of the room sound in conjunction with the mic sound and blend the two. It's very cool. Yeah, they said it was reactive load. I'm trying to think what else there was on the specs. It won't be out for a while, but I'm definitely keeping an eye on that. It's not a plugin. It's not an interface. It's a piece of hardware, and that looked pretty cool. So
Nice.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I just thought of something. Does everybody able to see the chat here?
Yes,
There's
I
so
can
many
see the
people
chat.
jumping on. Everybody just pick somebody when you talk and give
Oh, I
a
didn't see
shout out.
these going on.
Oh,
Looking
I'll
at you,
start- I'll start out.
Bjorgvin.
Ian Shepherd's there.
Looking at
Hey, Ian Shepherd.
Yeah.
Ian.
Ian,
what's up,
buddy?
Ian? What's up, Brandon? What's up, Johnny?
It's really late where Ian's at.
Yeah,
Right?
it's
Yeah, you
really
should be
late,
in
yeah.
bed, man.
Yeah, but he's drinking whiskey by this point.
Nice.
There you go.
You won't be making it to the cricket pitch tomorrow. My
Oh, that was
friend.
awful.
I am, Brandon. I
I
am.
wish I was.
All right, I'm giving a shout out to David Middlebrook from Temple, Texas. How you doing, David? Thanks for joining us.
Johnny Lipson's there.
What's up, Johnny?
Brandon Smith says, Pete, the ultimate UAD fangirl.
He knows I am.
I just wanted to call that out there.
Ian says, hello, chaps.
Hey,
Hello
Chris
back.
Graham
Yeah.
says, to
What's up,
himself.
Jurgen?
I
I
like
did.
that one, man. Well done.
It's my tagline. Chris Graham mastering.
You know, not a lot of people
Mm-mm.
talk about that, but if you get enough bloggers together, you can just kind of load up the chat with yourselves and pretend like there's a lot of people
Yeah, there's
watching.
so many people here.
It's
Yeah,
a big
we're all talking
YouTube
to
trick.
each other.
Let's all
So,
make
Warren,
comments
you wanna
about the
jump in
person
with
on
the
your
It's
next
like
left.
when
Cool.
when
Ready?
you're playing like in local bands and they do like those 8-band spectaculars. So there's 47 people there,
Yeah, exactly.
you know, so there's
Open
Battle of
mic.
the Bands.
shows. I've done so many. There's 43 people out there and 4 on stage at any one time.
What's up, friend?
Exactly.
It's true. I will. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff. I think all the hardware stuff. I want to go back and play with it. So I'm not really sure. I like those. I like the Spectra stuff. You know, this. Is it Spectre? Yeah, Spectre stuff because they're making this 1176, which has got. I'm sure you guys all know this. The great thing about plugins is it's making hardware people think like plugins. So now everything's got a parallel compression knob on it.
Yeah,
And that's
Thank
like, you know,
God.
because you got a plug in and you're like, oh, and so they've got this 1176 with sidechain filtering on it, with different revisions of 1176 transformer switch. Like it makes it hard to even think about buying a brand new 1176 or even a used one when somebody like that's hand making something in America that's cheaper and has every function you want.
Yeah.
So, and there's a lot of that stuff, but I want to go back and play with all these different things to know which is my favorite. But I do like that. I think in general, like we were talking about on the floor, I like the sense of community is much greater. Everybody at NAMM is here to do something. where I live in Los Angeles. It's great, but there's 10,000 people, of which there's still same people. We're all there.
Right.
But there's just a lot more looky-loo. This is more like every other person was like, oh, you're a guitar player, or an engineer, or a producer, you're a mixer, you're whatever, songwriter. Everybody there does something. It was
You should
really
be able to just
fantastic.
stop anybody on the
You
floor.
could stop
of NAMM
anybody and talk
and
music.
start interviewing them, right?
Yeah. It's really cool.
I like it.
Now, for me, I actually met with a microphone company, a Canadian-based company. So I was pretty, I'm a bit biased since I'm Canadian. Right? So from British Columbia, it's called Advanced Audio. Don't know if you heard of them. Yeah, so I had a chat with Dave. Yeah, actually.
I know Dave.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So I never tried the microphones though, but I'm pretty curious.
Yeah.
Because the price range is pretty cool.
Where's his booth?
It's on the when
It's
you
in the
get
middle.
in the main hall. It's on the left.
Okay.
If you go towards the near the launch box stuff.
Okay, I didn't know you still had a booth there this year. Okay, cool. I'll drop by.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
So I wandered off away from all the audio stuff into guitar land. And there was a company called Tonewood Amps, and they make this box that it magnetically attaches to the back of an acoustic guitar, and then you plug into it, and then it generates effects that are amplified through the guitar body itself. So you can sit in the woods and have reverb and delay on your guitar,
Nice.
which is what
That's what I've always wanted with
everyone wants.
reverb in the
So-
woods. Yeah.
It was pretty trippy. We went in one of those whisper rooms and listened to it, and it was just weird and like never seen like something like that before.
Wow.
Not sure if I'd buy it, but it was cool.
I like that. I've got a. I've forgotten.
Lidge, we got a someone that says, Lidge, please talk into your mic.
Am I not talking
You're not
into
talking
my
into
mic?
your mic, buddy.
I'm trying.
Now you are.
You guys get me? All right, I'll eat it more.
Eat Like the this, like-
mic, man. Get more gangster.
Like this.
Hey, Rob. Here we go. Yo, Brian.
What up? What up,
What do you
man?
think, man?
What up, dog?
What'd you see that you were digging, man?
So what happened was, I'm not a gear guy. Honestly, I shy away from anything gear related because I'm just not attracted to that. I don't have gas. I'm the only recording mixing guy in the
I'm
world
glad you
that
don't have
doesn't
gas in
suffer
this
from
I've been
this.
with you all day.
Gas,
and you
by the way,
certainly
is
have
gear
gas.
acquisition syndrome. That's where a lot of you guys probably suffer from this, at least from time to time. I came here for the hangs. I came to socialize. I was only on the NAMM floor for about 30 to 45 minutes this entire time so far. And so it was a lot of noise. It was a lot of things happening, and I was overwhelmed. My ADD was tearing me apart because every 3 seconds I'm looking at something new. And so instead of just actually noticing, yeah, now you're doing it. I can't even concentrate. Okay. So instead of actually checking out all this gear, instead I was just hanging out with my friends and running into people that I haven't seen in a while, and producers and engineers. It was cool to be around people that are also in this world of audio and business and production and gear and whatever, and everyone's passionate about things, and it's just cool to be around that. So I'm just here for the hangs.
Nice.
I like it.
A lot of cool stuff on the floor. Checked out a lot of booths and whatnot. There's a lot of exciting things going on. But I think the one thing that impressed me, I forget the guy's name, and I really apologize for this, but he's hanging out at the Floyd Rose booth. He came up to me. He was the former guitar player, or still is a guitar player for the thrash band Overkill. And he had a new guitar jack, because the usual ones, just have the little ring and the little dipsy doodle or whatever the fuck that's called. And, there's basically one. And this thing, he had re-engineered the guitar jack to have multiple contact points from all sides around. So it actually made a much more solid contact and carries more signal. He actually had a couple of waveforms showing before and after. You can actually see it smoothed out the bottom end, and there's more signal present. And I thought, now that is a really great idea. It's one of those kind of things why didn't anybody think of this sooner?
So it's like a jacked up jack.
Yes,
Does
pretty
this
much.
fix all the stupid
no.
bass players that don't know how to plug in their stuff correctly?
Yes, of course it does.
That's
I thought
excellent.
I saw a live unicorn drive by too.
Yeah, go ahead,
Awesome.
That was
Matt on
quite the plug right there.
Yeah,
Let's
go
see.
ahead.
I'll
On the
give
chat,
somebody a
Matt is-
shout out here.
Matt
Keep
is
trying.
actually saying that Glenn is here for line 6 only.
You're representing Live 6.
Yeah, that is true.
Nice. We got
Rob says, yeah, your mic in your mouth, not in your beard. Lol. It was all caps. Sorry, I yelled that last word there.
what was it? Mic in my mouth. Let's see. What was it? Here's one from where it just moved up. I didn't even get Johnny Lipsham. Nice shirt, Warren.
Yeah.
Nice one.
All right, fitting in. I'm fitting in with my, you like my show?
So
I'm fitting in.
I feel remiss a little bit because I was so busy getting the microphones to work for this. I forgot to write down my notes and make sure I was going to get all the manufacturers right. But so I'll riff a little bit. But one of the things that definitely was cool to see was Roswell audio microphones.
Yup.
I was talking to Matt over there, and they've got some great new microphones. He's got, I think it's the is it the MK
Mini K47.
Mini K47. That was like $299 and sounds fantastic. And it's essentially a FET amp in a 47 that's, you know, got similar characteristics to a traditional U47. Not modeled after it, but it uses the same style capsule, I think.
I've got a pair in my studio. We threw them up just as a set of overheads just to try them out, and we threw up a kick mine. It was literally a holy shit moment. We're like, what is going on here? These things are amazing. So I've got
use
those
them as overheads on the drums
all the time now. They're my number one overhead mics, and I've got the Delphos as well. And that's my number one guitar mic for metal guitars. I just threw that up, and it was just magic.
That's right. He was telling me about
Yeah,
that.
they are absolutely phenomenal.
I met
on a
you
guitar
before
cam.
you got here because of Matt.
Awesome.
And let's see some other stuff I saw too. You know, hardware meeting software was like the Presonus booth, seeing all these digital mixers that they've got. One of which I took to Bonnaroo to the Hay Bale studio this year, the 232 channel, the Studio Live 32 Series 3. And so that was pretty cool to just start to see, you know, the DAW world and the digital stuff mixed up with that. I also saw fun stuff. I won't have all the names, but there was like a company there from Korea that was doing like little mini DJ rigs where you could kind of like scratch records on an iPhone screen, which was hip. And there was binaural microphones with, you know, a set of ears on a handle, and you could go around and do that. And then that crazy mic that has 19 microphones in it, in a globe, in a sphere, and you can sit everybody. I almost wanted it for this. You could sit everybody around it, and then afterwards you can go in and pick who wasn't loud enough, and you can remix it. It takes 19 tracks and like assembles it and gives you isolation and everything. So that was kind of cool. But here, I'll give one more shout out to. Who else do we want to shout out to? Mix Better Now. Hi, Dad. Dig it.
Papa Dukes is watching. What's up, Pops?
Nice.
All right.
Big Neil.
So let's go to the next question. Next question, if you haven't guessed already, is tell us about some cool software that you saw today or yesterday at Namm. Dave Myers, take it away.
I saw no
CustomTracks.com.
software yesterday.
No software at
I didn't see
all.
any software. No, I didn't. I saw some hardware. I mean, I suppose you could look at it as if there was some software in those Yamaha triggers, but that's about where I cap out. What you got?
Dig it.
Repeat the question one more time.
Software. Did you see any cool software?
I did not see any cool software. I only looked at hardware today.
All right.
Very
All right.
exciting.
We're moving
Sorry.
through this one
Save us,
quickly.
Pete.
Well, I hope so. I was over at the Antelope booth, and I was checking out some of their interfaces. Obviously, their clocks and their conversions, pretty awesome. But some of their new interfaces come with a bunch of really cool plugins, I guess, with no latency, obviously real time. You can track through and mix with them and stuff like that. So that looked pretty interesting. Would love to hear them at some point.
Nice.
We did actually. I piggybacked with Glenn. We went to Harrison. We actually went to their factory, which is down the street, where they've been making.
Oh yeah, I love that place. It's great.
So Glenn will probably talk a lot more effectively than I can, but you know, the mix bus stuff seems to be really. I haven't personally used it, but the people I know that use it love it. They say it's a lot more intuitive because if you've come from a console world, it feels like you're mixing on a console. So I've only heard good things about it.
Yeah. Did you get to meet Ben Harrison? Over
We
there?
did.
Or
We met
Harris?
Ben. We met Gary.
Ben
the manager.
Loftus, excuse me.
We
bought
met
a
Ben. We
32C.
met
I bought it last December. The 32C. I never tried it though.
Ah.
So I just bought it.
I hear
It's
it's
there.
amazing.
I have to try it.
If you're a console guy, I
You
hear
can
it's
mix
unbelievable.
really fast on Mixbus. Like if you
That's what
don't
I
have to
heard.
do any editing and you just want to mix, you can get your mixes done extremely quickly on Mixbus. It's very, very fast.
Yeah, I've done some messing around with it. I mixed a song for a giveaway that we did this year, and it was a lot of fun. And yeah, same thing, I just was able to get it dialed in. It sounded great.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of cool, unique plugins in it too.
Yes, and that's what we're going
That's
on
what
about.
we
you
found
know,
out.
the drum character and the Tom Gates and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. Like really cool stuff, and a lot of that came out of their experience in the film world.
30 years of making film consoles. So you've got these guys that are like mixing hundreds and hundreds of audio tracks at the same time. And they're dealing with like DAT recordings, Naga recordings, all these different kind of stuff, and they have to blend them all together. So they had to create these plugins that would EQ different parts of the waveform in different ways. So now it means that I haven't used it. They now have a special plugin that can EQ a drum.
Yeah, and you can EQ the transient differently from the sustain of a drum. That is amazing, and it is yeah. Yeah, exactly. So you can, if you got a snare drum, you can put a huge spike on your transient, and then you can just EQ the tail differently, so you get rid of your
That's right.
reverb
That's
bullet,
drum
or
character, right?
yeah, exactly. You get rid of your hi
Is
hat
that
bleed,
kind of
all that.
different to Surfer EQ?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But Surfer EQ is awesome too.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the Soundradix stuff.
Yep, for sure.
So they've been in digital for 30 years, developing plugins for the film industry, and then they just decided to, oh, why don't we try and make this for music as well?
Yeah, it was cool. I really enjoyed it. I like those guys a lot. Also, I would say that the Harrison place feels it's a cool vibe.
Yeah. It's almost like, you know, honestly, I hope nobody at Harrison sees this because they're probably going to get mad. But honestly, it reminded me of like the Pinball Hall of Fame in Las Vegas, because you got all the parts of the old pinball machines. That's like back at Harrison, they got all the parts for the old consoles, kind of thing, just everywhere.
Very cool.
That was really awesome.
Hey, Rockstars watching this, give us a shout in the comments if we need to turn the air conditioner off. Otherwise, we're going to leave it on and stay cool in here and just keep
I have
chatting.
to directly answer a question to Brandon. Brandon says, super important industry question. What hair product does Warren use? I think that's the problem. Absolutely none. So do you have any recommendations?
Did you see there's something about Mary?
Oh, wow. Whoa. My wife isn't watching this.
Chris?
I didn't see any plugin software or whatever that is worth mentioning.
All right, dig it. There you go.
Ooh, zing.
Big letdown.
Zing!
The only thing I thought was cool is in the new Studio Live PreSonus consoles, they've added in, you can pick different compressors and EQs. So they've modeled a few. There's a 1176-ish and like a LA2A-ish compressor that you can switch between in addition to the normal one. So that, I've not messed with them. They look cool on the screen. I assume
That was the
sound
PreSonus, the
different.
Studio One?
No, the Studio Live, the mixer.
Oh, yeah, right, in Studio Live. Yeah.
They've incorporated them into Studio One and in the Studio Live, so you can.
I used the
pop
crap
down
out of them.
Yeah.
At Bonnaroo. It really saved the whole day.
Did they sound
you know?
okay once you used
They
all the
sounded
crap
great.
out of them?
I'll tell you what was fantastic about it is we were mixing and we're mixing vocals and the whole band on the fly. And so when you're doing that, you're setting levels. And usually what happens is the vocals just get too loud and you just want to like control them a little bit. So being able to have the LA2A on there and then just bring the threshold down slightly was a great way to handle it and have it sound great.
And I've not played with this, but you can record on an SD card on the console without a computer, and then it'll save all the settings. And when you open it, if you open it in Studio One, all your levels and all your settings will open in your session, and you can.
I think that's
pretty
exactly
cool.
right.
That's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Not only that, but Rick was telling me that you can record onto the SD card and out of the USB to one computer and out of the AVB Ethernet to another. So you could have like triple backup while you're recording a live show, for example. So that was pretty
Triplicate.
Now, the only thing I can say though, just briefly, PreSonus, I really love what they did with the new version of their mixer, the one you just got. I'm a Cubase guy. I love Steinberg. I wish Steinberg would have like something similar, at least like a good control surface, affordable control surface.
Oh, that's just kind of random, but that's something I'm excited about too. Is that with the new Studio Lives, I guess they're gonna release software to make them control surfaces. Rick was saying,
pretty cool.
which is awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
Later this year, I think.
Actually, that reminds me, they also were talking about coming out with Q systems. So that was really exciting to me. The thought of having a mixer like that makes it more fun to use the DAW, and then having nothing but Ethernets running out to the floor, going straight into a little box you plug your headphones into, and you can just do your own mix right there on the box.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, so I mean, musicians have never ever in the world screwed up their own headphone mix, so that will be awesome. So, hold on. Yo, Brian, what you got for us, man?
Oh, so check it. Yo. I'm here for the hang. So I actually did see some stuff. I didn't actually see anything at Namm, but on this Blackbird Studio tour, who was it? Was it Matt was his name, or whoever the guy from
Soundwaves?
No, I know I had a photo of it. So it's this software called Ren M.
Kevin.
Kevin's his name.
Kevin.
The guy,
Yeah.
Mix Magazine or something. And so this software is something that you load into your DAW. Doesn't matter what DAW you use, but you can put all of the credits for the music into the track, and it exports it into an XML file, right? Which you can send to whoever. It pulls all the data in a universal language that is internationally recognized and whatever. There's a lot of technical details for it, and I'm not the technical type. But it was cool because I don't get credited for the majority of the work I do. because I work with a lot of indie artists and they don't know how to do it correctly. And so, and Chris, me and Chris were talking about this as well. He has probably gotten credited for less than what 25% of the stuff you've done.
Probably not even that.
Yeah, and so it's not because of like malice from the bands or artists, and sometimes even labels do not get you credited correctly.
Spell your name right.
Yeah, or spell your name right. They get it from like your invoice or whatever, which
I
your
don't even spell my own name
intern
right.
typed up incorrectly anyway. So I thought it was really cool, a universal way for you to have all of your data put in correctly from the start, and it is transferred from the source, and you have full control over it as the probably mastering engineer, but also the mix engineer has some control over that as well. So.
Yeah, that got me really excited just to like what happened a few years ago when CDs phased out. People just stopped getting credit.
Yeah, no one knows who does anything anymore a lot of
Yeah.
times.
And there's been a lot of issues with that because there's I think it's satellite radio. There are like
Sirius
most of us
XM.
probably have royalties unclaimed from music we've worked on that's played on satellite radio.
Oh hell no!
But there's not an easy there's would probably be a lot more money there as far as like royalties that the company, the satellite radio stations pay out, because there's no way to easily be like, oh, this song was done by this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy. It's just not standardized. So this is a really big deal to help studios stay in business and get the credit they deserve.
Especially us little guys, you know.
Yeah, I'm getting some info here that were hard to hear.
All of us are hard to hear.
Oh,
I guess
on.
everybody just eat your mic.
I mean, I'm like in it.
Just eat it.
I'm in it to win it, guys.
If you want, I could like
Just-
go put a limiter on our audio feed.
Eating
Turn
the
your
mic,
volume
is that
up. Turn
any
your
better?
volume
You got
up.
master
Turn
it?
your volume up,
I
guys.
can master it.
Make it louder.
I've got a copy of T-Rex.
Y'all
in my
got that?
car.
Y'all got that
There you go.
L3 limiter? Y'all can put on this thing?
We do have a very light gate on each track, so make sure you eat your mic.
You ever heard of G-Clip?
Like a Chevy Chase or yeah.
Jelly.
How's this sound, guys?
Doppler.
Glenn, did you get a chance to tell us what you were digging?
Just some basic stuff, really. I was just kind of checking out. I was over at the RME booth, and I was checking out the Total Mix software. And they had a really neat thing going on, though. They were doing like some, they were using like Guitar Rig or some kind of amp sim on an iPad, and they were using the loopback feature because you've got on their Babyface input, you've got 4 inputs, 2 mics and 2 lines, but the mics are 1 and 2 and the lines are 3 and 4, but the guitar software can only see mic 1 and or input 1 and 2, which are mics, so you can't plug a guitar in. So what they were doing, they were plugging in on input 3 on this, and then using their loopback feature to take that and put it back through input 1 in software before it hit the guitar sim, which was pretty cool. And again, this is on a freaking iPad, no latency. I got to play it, and I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool. So like
Nice.
on the fly sketchpad kind of thing. I thought that was really neat. And the fact that you can take that and just plug in, via light pipe another 8, preamps and go track anywhere basically with this tiny little rig. I thought that was really awesome.
Nice. That actually reminds me, you're talking about iPads. This was, I think, last night. I met another guy who had this great video switching on his app on his iPad
Oh, I want
that
that.
I think was called what was it? Pro Switcher Live? Who was there with me?
Studio or
I'll find it.
yeah, something.
I'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, that sounds really cool.
But it's pretty cool now that you're capable of doing some pretty amazing stuff straight from an iPad. I feel like one of the lessons I keep learning is things can get simpler and then get better and easier. And if you're still doing things in a complicated way,
It's probably a tool for it. Yeah.
then maybe you should just simplify it. All right, cool. So next question up is this one is just more general. Did you learn anything new at Namm this year? Do you feel like you learned anything new or something cool?
I heard more songs played simultaneously than I've ever heard in my life. That was
87, actually.
I think it was 87.
You learned that a lot of drums all at once sound kind of cool.
Said no one
yeah.
ever.
It said no one ever. Yeah.
Dane, you got anything that kind of got you excited, like a new perspective?
I've mostly just enjoyed getting to know everybody, in person through hanging out here. But
That's so
at
sweet. Can I
NAMM,
get a
no, I
hug,
didn't
Dane?
really learn anything different. I don't think.
All right.
Yeah, I second that. I think that's what we were talking about yesterday. I think that's kind of that's the thing that's been the best about the whole show. Just meeting so many more people. And the fact that, like I was saying earlier, so much more focused here than it is at the Winter NAMM. I prefer it.
Yeah, I think the not to bite off that, but yeah, definitely the people element's great. I thought today was good. We were lucky enough to head over to Blackbird today, in Sputnik. That was really amazing.
Getting into my next question there.
That was
Oh,
awesome.
am I
No,
jumping
keep
ahead?
it- No, keep going.
Step back.
Yeah.
Step back from
I'm
that
jumping
man.
the gun.
Gate
But no,
him.
it really is good. I feel Nashville's cool because there's an immense sense of camaraderie here, and I just feel a lot of what? Like, no, there's not. No, but it feels good though. I mean, it's good to say hey to everyone. So
I would say how to walk barefoot on the street.
Nice, man.
Really?
By the way,
That's what I
Bring
learned
it,
the most.
Chris.
Yeah, there you go.
bring it to barefoot. Nobody else? Nobody else? All right.
Ish. But yeah, like Dane.
Two
and all
hippies,
these
one
guys
mic.
are saying it's like
Ooh.
Ooh.
That's wrong.
Who?
you know you love Cody Lundeen. Come on, dual survival.
Hey, I do love Cody Lundeen. Shout out to Cody Lundeen, dual survival.
There you go.
Keep up the fight, baby.
Speaking of shout outs, let's get some more shout outs. We got Mix
I had an
Online,
answer for that.
LOL Bjorkman. All right. Well, that's an insider. Music NFA. Anyone look at headphones? Did I look at headphones? I don't.
I
think
did.
headphones.
Not
I
yet.
looked at headphones. I bought a new pair of Etymotic ER4S's, and I tried the Ultimate Ears headphones, and it was interesting. They had this doodad where you could choose which model of Ultimate Ear
It
headphones.
was like they said there was almost like an amp modeler behind it.
Yeah,
But
it
I'm
was
like,
interesting.
I didn't listen
chose
to it. I was
wisely
out of
with
it. I didn't want to
Etymotic.
listen to it. But you,
So like
No,
you
I'm
can
talking
pick your
over you.
curve.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it was weird. Like you took your iPhone, plugged it in, played whatever song you wanted. They converted that to digital, and then EQ'd it based on what model you chose, and then they converted it back to analog.
but the models had different driver amounts in there. 1 or 2 drivers, some are 4 drivers, and you're switching between models digitally
yeah,
with the whatever driver headphone you have in your ear. It doesn't make sense to me.
yeah, it was not executed as well as it could have been. But the Etymotic stuff was amazing.
Have you guys seen the isolation box to record vocals?
I think I
Yeah.
saw it in there.
No, we
yeah.
talked about that. Chris was like, I don't feel like you could get a good take out of a vocalist in there.
Put your vocalist at ease.
For those of you who weren't there,
I
it
would've
was
felt like it
literally
was
a
gonna-
box that your guy just stands up in, right? And is surrounding his face, and he can't see nor hear anything.
It
and
looked
just
like it's
black.
eating
Not
him.
unnerving.
Yeah,
It looked like it was going to suck
It
him
looks like
into
it's
the
going to
box.
kill you.
could,
and
you look over and you see him from the shoulder down.
yes,
His head has been eaten by a marshmarshmarshmallow.
It's like Get
It was
Smart,
like a
the
marshmallow
Comic
box.
Sans.
And there's a little door so you can open the door and come out of the booth.
There you go.
Very strange.
I did see.
I
there
wanted
was-
to try
I was
it.
trying to remember the full name. It was 64 or like something 64, and they were doing in-ear monitors.
64 ears.
64 ears. Audio. Yes. And so they were showing me some of their stuff. I think it was the A12 and the A18 or something. But they were talking about how Michael Brower and his gang are using it to reference mixes to be able to check for S's and plosives,
That makes sense. Yeah.
which I thought was very cool. I love it. To me, that is very similar to taking it out to your car, listening to it on a small speaker, and to just have one more tool that helps you just dial it in and not have to screw it up in the next pair of
I think they're
speakers.
making a big effort to make it affordable as well. The other company, which will
That's
remain
good.
nameless, that you were talking about, is very expensive. I think 64 ears is
very expensive.
very expensive. And 64 ears are very cognizant of that, and they're trying to make things that we might actually be able to buy.
Now, is that I don't remember if they are form fitted. Do you have to go get
Yeah,
fitted for 64
they were doing
ears?
it there. You can do form fitting.
Don't they do now? They do like a digital or some sort of weird scan instead of the foam in
Yeah, I
your
think
ears. They
you're
do
right,
like
yeah.
a digital scan of it now or
I had
something.
the whole
I haven't done it
experience.
yet.
then.
Has anybody done
Yeah.
it?
Gotta get the
Which
stuff
the foam
injected,
things you
know?
can mess up if you dent it or do anything before it ships in or before you give it to them to actually create the molds. It can cause damage and it won't fit your ear when it comes in. It's crazy.
Raise your hand if you've had your ears fitted for earplugs.
Not
Musicians
yet.
I've actually never.
earplugs.
I'm the one
It's-
talking about.
it's-
it. I've never had it
You'll
done.
do it tomorrow.
I have friends
Are
who've
you?
done it.
Yeah, they
It's a
offer to
trip-
do it.
it's a trippy
Did you do
experience.
it?
Yeah.
You can do it tomorrow. Do it tomorrow.
Raise your hand if you did it back when it hurt like a mother.
Yep.
What were you trying to say there? What was the word?
Yeah, it's like what used to be not
Son
on.
of a- His parents are on this. Come on.
That digital one
Exactly.
sounds cool though.
Yeah, no, I remember when they
like
used to like stick the thing and they have to go around the bend in your ear and then inject it and it hurts so
Wow.
bad.
They put that little dam in there so it doesn't
I
go all
almost
the way in.
punched
and
the
stuff.
audiologist.
The Etymotics don't. Like, you can get a mold for them, but they have a foam thing And because they have foam, you get more isolation than you get with a mold. You get like 36 dB.
Cool.
So I got into those originally because Joe Ciccarelli in an article mentioned that what he likes to do is track bands in the room with the band, and he'll use those because he can, 36 dB, he can still make intelligent mixing decisions,
Nice.
while there's a drummer 20 feet from him.
I've worked with Joe Ciccarelli. If he says that's what you should do, that's what we should all do.
Nice.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Hey, let's give a couple more shout outs. Anybody you want to talk to here? We got Matt McQueen says it looked like a medieval torture device. I don't know what that was in reference to because I'm
That would be the
spaced
box.
out. Oh yeah,
The
right,
box.
the box, right.
A very soft
Vocal
medieval torture device.
And then Egasold, if I'm reading, I'm blind by the way. Egasold says greetings from Germany. So shout out to you. Thanks for being here.
Are we
And,
just ignore Bjorgvin, what he said about me?
Yeah,
He's talking
Bjorgvin,
crap.
shout out to
Working
you, my
on a
friend,
one-man
of
show
course.
with his impressions.
Listen, Bjorgvin, you don't know anything about me. Listen
Rockstars, if you don't know,
I don't know who
Bjorgvin
you are,
is
but you're
Bjorgvin
just jealous 'cause you're not
Benediktsson
here.
of audioissues.com. So that's another great helpful resource for you.
Audioissues.net.
No, com.
It's
I wish
com.
Bjorgvin
Yeah.
was here. Can we just say that we miss him?
We miss
Yes.
We miss you, Bjorgvin.
We
You
miss
should
you.
be here, my
Aw.
friend.
Can we get to me on this
And now
question,
we
by the
will all
way?
sing the Icelandic national anthem in Bjorgvin's honor.
I know. Why didn't you start?
Oh, sing loud. Mandarin.
One Icelandic word. You ready for it? It's that stupid. Oh, sorry. I know that one Icelandic word. It's that really ridiculous volcano name.
Zergasnek.
Eyjafjallajökull. Eyjafjallajökull. If I got that right, Bjorgvin, let me know.
No shit, that really is. That's a
Wow.
real word. You just said it.
It looks like you just put words down on a keyboard, and that was a cat walked across the keyboard, and that's how they named
Like
that's how
most
they
of my
named
emails.
the volcano. That was the volcano. That's the volcano that exploded. That went off and caused a bunch of delays in 2010. The flights and stuff in Europe.
Yeah.
That was like a big deal. Yeah. Eyjafjallajökull.
Bjorgvin says, good luck with the anthem. The range is like a million octaves.
Hey, Bjorgvin said I got a B-. That's great.
Fun fact:
I'm
when
okay
the
with that.
Americans were fighting the British in the American Revolution, a volcano went off in Iceland, and the cloud went over Great Britain and killed everything, and they gave up. It's why we're independent. I probably didn't need to say that, did I?
I didn't know that. If that's true,
Here's the book of facts.
Are you okay, Warren?
that makes me love Iceland even more than I already
Sorry,
do.
Warren.
Let's see. We'll give a shout out to
to blame for not having dominion over these lands.
That's right. Maybe that's not a good thing.
Iceland is the bane of existence for Britain.
all right. Let's see. I wanted to also give a shout out to Filthy Curve. Where are you from? Does anybody know who Filthy Curve is?
It sounds like a really aggressive way to EQ something.
They're stirring up the chat.
And we have a legit question here, guys.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Music in FA. Odd question, but were you all musicians before being producers?
Yes.
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 A bad one.
Mediocre, yes.
Yes, but that does not apply to everyone. I was very surprised when I went to recording school and I started to meet people who were not musicians first, or if they were, they didn't really admit to
Very
it.
strange.
Bruce Swedien is somebody that doesn't really play, but just got into mixing.
Really,
Really?
Bruce Swedien?
Yeah, that's the only example I can think of.
Who here?
I have a friend here at
plays-
the Ruckus Room, Jamie Tate, who was on the podcast, and he was somebody. He's an incredible producer mixer, and I never knew him to play an instrument or be in a band at all.
I think this could be a 4-hour discussion. This one, because I get debated on this all the time.
Let's do it. We need at least another 20 minutes.
I mean, I like the topic.
I'll start with my own personal opinion, which is probably it's just my opinion. You don't have to be, but boy, does it help.
I was gonna ask this. Who in here plays drums?
I play drums.
You play drums?
Dude,
Who doesn't play
if I
drums?
like playing drums, does
Who
that
doesn't
count?
play drums? One. Kind of half.
I can play the bongos.
I feel like that's one of the most valuable skills in the studio if you're recording bands with drummers, because I feel like the drummers or the people who aren't drummers that are trying to record drummers struggle more. And I'm not calling everyone out.
What kind of bands are you doing? The ones without drummers?
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, well, there's well, listen to Spotify's top 50. How many of those have drummers in them? You know.
Okay, fair enough.
I think one of the people that's not a musician, that's
Keeping it real over there, guys.
one of the people that's not a musician that surprises me the most is Leo Fender, the founder of Fender Guitars, that designed pretty much everything they made. At first, didn't know how to play guitar.
Oh, but he learned.
I don't think until he was like way
I'm
older.
gonna make some
No, that's Les
awesome
Paul.
stuff, and then later I'll figure out how to use it.
Les Paul could play the guitar.
Come on, man, pick one up.
But that's I totally understand. I mean, Steve Jobs, he never actually designed a single thing, but he said, "I want to design this. You figure it out," wasn't it? I mean,
Well, it's like Elon Musk isn't designing the rockets for SpaceX. It's just you can have the vision, and then you can get the people to do the work.
But he did teach himself rocket science.
Well, yeah, there's that.
He read
But
books about it.
I would argue, and this is going to get lots of hate mail. I would argue that all of this is a thing of the past, though. I just think it is. It's
What,
great.
us?
All of what?
No, the idea of just being an engineer. That's great.
It's a different reality.
It's a
today.
different reality because, like, I still get to make the odd and I say odd. You know, the other day I engineered for Diane Warren and David Foster. You know, biggest songwriter, biggest producer. David Foster has more hits, more records than Rick Rubin ×2, and I got to be an engineer and charge my rate. But goodness, that's rare.
Let me say, if you're just an engineer, that you're just a commodity at that point. There's nothing differentiating you from all the other engineers in this world, and then we don't need more of
that
those.
gig alone just is barely existing. I'm not saying
Yeah.
it doesn't exist, but if I'm a kid or anybody going to school to learn to record, that should just be because I also am producing and writing and doing all the other things that you have to do.
I think there has to be an element of creativity there in order to differentiate yourself, and I don't think just being an engineer you can make it anymore.
So I think that's an interesting topic because how do you mitigate like not being too diversified so where you're not like really great at anything?
Niche down.
Well,
And
shameless
find a
plug for
niche.
Brian. You know, Brian, he does the 6-figure home studio thing, talking about actually what it means to run a business.
Yeah.
And being a
That
studio.
was where I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest
No,
things
no,
about
so-
audio school that's just so shocking is it's
There's
this,
no business skills.
there's
They
no
don't
business skills.
teach business
Yes.
skills.
Well, that's
There's
about to
a
change,
lie,
guys.
and the lie is if you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
That's bunk. You have to know how to run a business.
And you have to be a people person.
Yeah, and you have to be a people person.
Yeah, it
That's
doesn't mean you
most
have
of
to
the-
be like
most of the
"Woo, put
gig.
your hand out, but you
Yeah.
have to have some skill with people.
Yeah.
Even if it's like Glenn. Glenn works for a specific style of music. You work with a specific. Everybody, you know, we're not all like
niching down.
You know what I mean? It's like who was the marketing guy that had? Did anybody go to that 10:30 marketing thing?
Wait,
Joel.
where was I missed this? What was this?
It's a 10:30. It's a huge marketing guy. He just sold his company for $200 million, and he gave a talk at 10:30 this morning. And he's like, "That's a myth. Everybody thinks that they have to be Rick Rubin. Everybody thinks they have to be David Foster." He goes, "The point is, he goes, most of my clients that are making like 7-figure incomes are in this tight of a niche." And then he showed a couple of YouTubers with like 7 million views over 7 years, and he's like, "This guy made $500,000 last year." It's just because he's just got a niche. He knows who, and it wasn't music; it was anything. So there's that sort of myth. We're all, and I still forget and try to build this massive empire, and I think, well, wait there, but I only really make money from this little piece. But I'm trying to do this, and 50 things, and bounce all these balls in the air. But really, 80%, you know, the 80-20 rule, 80% of my money really just comes from one little piece that I do.
Yeah.
How do
Plato's
you think that
principle is
applies
a
to
big
musicians,
deal.
though, and bands? How does that apply to musicians and bands? In what
Okay.
ways do bands try and do too many things
Oh
and
my
not
God!
focus on their
Everyone,
niche?
let's say, if you ask someone what kind of music do you like, and their answer is, "I like everything." That is someone that doesn't understand the power of a niche. If you're trying to be an artist, a band, and you're trying to appeal to everyone, you will appeal to no one, especially today. That's because the music industry is so fragmented now, because everyone has access to creating music with very low barriers. And so what people can do now, it's awesome because you can now create whatever you want. It can be however unique you want. You don't have gatekeepers holding you back or telling you what to do, which is awesome. But at the same
It's
time,
amazing.
yeah, and now, but you also have way more noise to get through. And so if you're trying to be, whether you're a musician, it's the same with the home studio world. Like there's so much that's changed in the studio world now that if you're trying to like differentiate, you have to niche down into something small, start from there and grow out of that. I started in the metal world, and I'm not going to go into my story here, but doing something that's very specific, because Glenn does the same thing that I do, or similar.
We've known each other for a long time.
Yeah, we go way back actually, but yeah. But starting in something small, you will never make 7 figures recording heavy music, but you could potentially make 6 figures or a healthy 5 figures.
I can
Depends on
hang
where you
with
put the
6
decimal
figures.
place.
Joke
No, but I
for the
think,
win.
but I think, like what you're talking about with musicians is the equivalent of the audio guy who's gonna learn and then get a job at a studio, and that's the entire plan. It's just not a great plan. I think I think you should study business as much as you're studying.
I think
technique.
a lot of it is you have young kids that go to whether that's audio school or any type of school, and it's just this belief of if I just do what they tell me to, everything will work out. If I'm just like everybody else, then I'll get a job. You only get a job by being different than everyone else. And it's just weird that lie is just so pervasive in society right
And I
now.
think maybe also on top of just being different, but solving a unique problem,
Amen.
finding white space.
What's it gonna be? White space.
I mean, you know, we're all doing some form of audio blogging, teaching, or interactivity, and we're all here in this room because I think each one of us, we're sharing a space, but we're all doing something different.
Yeah.
You know, each one of us is doing our own thing, and partly I think that comes from just allowing your personality to come through. You know,
And realizing that if you're going to do what you want to do, you want to be around people who understand that, and that community. I think it makes it a lot more worthwhile.
Yeah, good point.
It's, I think, ironic, and I think most of us are probably like rock-ish people, and I think it's ironic because what you see a lot of times is, at least for me, is I saw this guy who lives down the street, Ed Cash, and he was this all-singing, all-dancing producer. And as a teenager, I was like, I just want to be that guy. So I just tried to be exactly like him instead of being myself. And I think that's ironic because I think a lot of people do that. They get a hero, they emulate, and that's the least rock and roll thing you can do.
Can I pause you on this though? Because
Yes.
I feel like, and I was no different when I started. I was just a ripoff of another producer I liked. And a lot of successful bands are just ripoffs of bands they like. But if you stick with it long enough, you're going to find yourself, once you start emulating someone, I feel like modeling yourself after someone else is a good place to start. But then finding yourself within that and changing yourself and growing into something bigger is where, because what happens is you try to emulate someone and you have moderate to no success, and then you just give up.
Or you succeed and you're no longer infatuated with that, and you
That is
decide,
another skill. That's a completely different conversation, but
It
that is
reminds
also
me
a
of-
danger.
Reminds me of the first time I ever worked with anybody of any talent was probably like late 80s. I was assisting in a friend's studio because he had to go away. And Andy Jackson came in, who was like the engineer on the wall, Final Cut. He came in with an artist who's since become a friend of mine, Louis Goffin. And he came in and he set up like drum mics, only 4 mics on the drum kit, got all our compressors and EQs and set out really well. I didn't touch anything for about 6 months. And I didn't know why anything sounded good, but it did sound good. So like, who here actually heard the difference in compression ratios the first time they ever used it?
No,
Nope.
absolutely
I didn't
not.
even know I was
Who heard the
hearing it.
difference in halfway between a release from here and here or attack?
Not when I started. No.
It took me ages to figure out what that meant. And now, of course, I can hear subtleties, but years. And I think
And
that
sadly,
that's-
it also requires us to turn the damn speakers up so loud for so long. I mean, we think it requires that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, well, we exhaust ourselves, don't we? Because we're stuck there for like 18 hours trying
What
to.
did you do? Did you kind of model yourself after what he did because
Well, I
you didn't
just-
understand it and you knew it worked?
Yeah, I mean, I only
And
got
you-
to work with him one day, but the reality was, I think I was just sort of coming on your point, because I think that's what we do is we just copy something until we figure out, oh, okay, and I think that's okay. I agree, and
As long as you find yourself eventually, like you
yeah,
have to move away
I
from
think
that.
you'll always find yourself eventually, and that's kind of a metaphor for running a business anyway. Just keep going. Most people that
Exactly, yeah.
fail just stop.
Go read the book The Dip by
Just keep going.
Seth
Godin.
Godin. Yeah.
I mean, like, do you guys all find that that's been like the hardest part of doing all the businesses that you guys run? You know, is doing the business stuff. Because for me, that's the artistic side, the creative side is the easiest part. Making music and sharing that with people and that passion and that love is easy.
It's
All
for
the
some
other stuff's
for some
tough.
it's for some the business side is the easy part. For some the business side is the necessary evil. There are things you can do to make the business side easier if you know how to set things up correctly, to automate and delegate and systemize and get it into a set like put the procedures in place to where when it comes time to do the things that you hate to do, taxes, finances, marketing, whatever it happens to be, invoices, all the stuff that sucks you out of the actual fun part, which is the producing or writing or mixing or whatever. When you can put all the things into place to get that to the minimum amount of time necessary. Talk to this guy. This guy is one of the masters at it. He does everything in his life revolves around automating everything to the smallest detail. He uses software.
Breakfast.
Yeah, no, he uses a software called, but between using software called Zapier, which is something that no one really knows about in our space, but me and him, and we use it a lot.
And us at the end of this conversation.
Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about it.
I use it a little.
This man can. Let's just say a man can press a button, and it'll bounce a song, put it in a folder, send it to a band, mark a deal in a CRM as complete, and do a bunch of other stuff with one press of a button.
Well, yeah, and the point there is getting to the point where, when at least for me, is when I can walk into the studio and just be creative
Every single
talk
day.
to clients and just be like, I'm doing the art, I'm doing the art, I'm doing the art. I don't have to label stuff. I don't have to upload stuff. I can just, it just happens. And when I started doing that, what was so crazy about it was the quality of my work went through the roof. I was like, oh my gosh, I have so much mental energy. I'm so relaxed. I'm enjoying myself so much. I'm actually mastering to a higher level of quality because I have the time to do it and the energy to do it.
I have a friend. When you sign into a bank, you're signing into his software. Like he owns the software that every bank uses. And
So he's doing pretty well.
He's doing pretty well. And he just said to me, he's like, Warren, you got to work on your genius skills. You should only be doing what you're good at. You should be doing anything else.
Yeah.
Glenn, you look like you're trying to get a word in edgewise.
Oh, no. It's no big rush, but I was just going to say kind of on that thing. It's like, honestly, when I stopped doing bands, all the time and started working more on YouTube, oddly enough, I found my recordings got a lot better. So, go figure.
Yeah.
I
Sorry,
found that.
former clients.
I found that by starting a podcast and interviewing all of you guys.
Now, you touched on something right at the beginning of Be Awesome. You said you guys were talking about the build it and they will come myth. And I was thinking about one of the things that's difficult now is nobody understands the role of a producer as opposed to an engineer, as opposed to a Mitch, and as opposed to a mastering engineer. And because of that, I see all these debates and they're all very misinformed because the roles have changed so much. So I think that every engineer is a producer now, because if you own a studio,
Blending together.
you are a
Everything's
producer.
blending together now.
Yeah, let's stop using the word. It's just producer engineer should be the word. If you're an engineer,
Can we
you're
come up with a
recording.
new
I
one
call
right
it the entreproducer.
Engineer.
The entreproducer.
Entrepreneur.
That's actually pretty good.
Entrepreneur.
If you own a studio, even if your studio is a laptop and a 2i2,
Say that in the mic,
you're a
Joe.
producer.
Entrepreneur.
Wait, is that for
Entrepreneur.
Bjorkman? Did you say that for Bjorkman?
Yes, that's the
That was
Icelandic translation.
Okay, good.
Awesome.
The thing that confuses me too is like you hear a lot of kids say like, "Oh, I'm a producer," and that means like they make beats or something.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
generally that word is for
It's-
beats. We were talking about that
I heard that
earlier
a lot.
because
When maybe it should be like you're a songwriter or you're a composer, and it's a little ambiguous, but I know what you're saying.
I'm
though.
a
Circling back to your question about like
Well, I was trying to. Can I pause you 1 second? I was trying to upsell it and make kids believe that they're not just engineers. As soon as they have a medium to record it and they're recording someone, unless they paid for somebody to come in and produce it, they're also producing. So I want to also
Right,
empower people because I don't know about you guys when you started your career, but I was producing my sessions, but I wasn't getting any credit. I was always like the engineer and all this kind of stuff. And I think I want to empower people because I find like a lot of guys and girls are sitting there working 18 hours a day, making their $50. They're not getting credited. Nobody knows about it. They're being manipulated, and we need to help them.
it's a self-confidence. It's a self-confidence issue.
Yeah.
And there's also so much freaking dogma out there with one particular site that we all know and love, I'm sure. It's just like when anything comes out that's new, like I review something or
The recording
$300.
revolution.
That really sucks. You really need. See, the thing is, you need the $10,000.
Yeah.
And what are you talking about? And then I get people emailing me going, oh, I really wanted to start recording, but I read on this forum that I
Gotta have a
don't have the right
U87.
mic.
Forums
yet
are
to do a vocal.
death.
Yeah.
Forums are just poison half the time.
Hey, not all the
They are,
time.
for
We
sure.
we grew up in
No,
them.
no.
Now they are.
We had a great forum, but a lot of forums are just a lot of people who just go on and on and on and on about
I just think it's
absolutely
a big
nothing.
part of
This
our
is a
job to
good
empower
forum.
people.
perhaps
Yeah,
perhaps
no,
there should
we're
be a new
talking,
forum, the Warren Forum.
Yes, we're talking the
That was so
discouragement
dumb.
forums.
That
Like
was
if you
not
don't
fun.
have the
No,
right
you're right.
EQ that was made at the right week with the right tubes and that kind of, it's crap, that kind of thing.
Well,
Nothing's ever good enough for some of these people.
I think what Warren was saying, I think is a good avenue for us to go down. This genius. What was the phrase that you used? Genius skill. I really think if for in any industry, but especially in ours, if you look at all the things that you do and you wrote them all down, and then next to each one of the things that you do, you wrote down how much is the going rate per hour for this thing. I think it's pretty simple to go down and be like, oh, minimum wage, $100 per hour, $100 per hour, minimum wage. So I think a lot of it, of balancing that is going through and being like, how can I get rid of this minimum wage thing? And for me, that was like labeling files and uploading them. As a mastering engineer, I do like an album a day. So it's a lot of uploading. It's a lot of sending. So to get rid of that minimum wage thing, because I couldn't afford to pay anyone to do it, all of a sudden, like, okay, well, my average dollar per hour just went up. So I think it's about crossing those things off the list of, all right, I don't have to do that anymore. I don't have to do that anymore. I could focus on the things where I bring unique value to the world.
I did the same, except I hired someone. I hired an assistant to take care of all of the menial tasks that anyone can do if they have a checklist in front of them and they understand basic DAW things. And everything else that I do when I pick up a mix is only the stuff that I can do as a mixing engineer, and what I bring to the table as a unique person. And that's the only thing I'm really being paid for, because everything that he does, anyone can do. But I can't teach the stuff that's left for me to do. And that's what like triple my hourly pay on my mixes, because I took all that BS out of there that pretty much anyone could do.
I don't know if this is a reach, but when you were talking about that, the minimum, the $100 an hour stuff, it just popped into my mind the same kind of decision making that goes into improving your production skills in the studio. When you start to identify, this is actually the thing that we need for the song, and all this other crap can just get out of there,
Yeah.
80,
when I'm
20
noodling
productions as well.
My first band, one of my first bands, I got invited to play fiddle in the band. It's called Enormous Richard. You may have heard me say that before.
You play fiddle?
I do.
I
Kinda.
didn't know that.
Fiddle faddle. No, so I came in and I felt so clever because I would hear a great melody and I was like, oh, I got this great melody part. But all I could think to do was just play it over and over and over again from the top of the song to the end. And I play it like loud and maybe quiet or in a different octave. And
You got into EDM, man.
it just took me a while to realize that like it's cool to play something boldly and then just be quiet. Just shut up. Get out of the way, edit yourself.
Well, Christian is really good at being able to decide and smooth it over with artists that this is probably something we need to not get in the weeds of and let some of those details go to be able to focus on more of the major song structure stuff when you're producing. Yeah. I think that's an art to be able to draw an artist away from something that they want to hyper focus on into the major components of the song so that you can get that done before everybody gets exhausted.
Yeah, you guys want to talk about production for just a moment? Just go around and share anything you feel like.
Sure.
Also, Addy, how are we doing on time? Well, they'll come back to us with that.
I think, man, I got into what I do now, mastering, by being the all singing, all dancing producer, mixer, editor, like studio musician thing, the hustler. And like that, I was so terrible at it. And I didn't know it at the time, but I had no interpersonal skills. My like producing skills basically were wrapped up in like somebody would sing, do a take, and I'd say, you can do better than that. Get back in there. Try again. I didn't know. Like, that's really stupid.
Those people skills, though.
Yeah. When you're dealing with like a female singer-songwriter, that's probably not going to
exactly.
like,
Depends on the person.
Go super well. No, there was no one that worked well for. But for me, too, it was this thing, too, where I had all these things where it was minimum wage, and a couple things where I might have been making $1 over minimum wage. There you go.
For a lot of people, especially
get it on your beard. Get it on your beard.
Yo. One thing I've learned for sure in the past couple of years is kind of like how you were talking before about in today's day and age, when younger people or even of any age are coming up and they're trying to essentially learn how to play music, but how to do it at home and how to kind of get out of work and maybe enjoy that time in the studio, is being in that production role. It is so many things nowadays because most people don't have a budget for a proper producer. So I think if we're going to record ourselves, or if someone's going to record their friends or their own band, well, they have to get in there and they have to wear so many hats now, right? I mean, it's like, it's not just saying, do, like you said, do it again. You have to figure out, how can I get a better take? How can I get a better sound? How can I balance everything while everything's going on? So I think, it's a crazy time, but all those hats are necessary, I think, to make good music.
And that's the most
tangible.
That's the most important type of creativity that you need to make it work.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
What a big question, Lidge.
Production.
I mean,
how do you produce? I'm just joking. That's such a problem.
The best answer I can always think of is Dave Jordan. Like in '99, I was doing an album as a musician with Dave Jordan, and he'd made all the Jane's Addiction records. He'd made the first 3 Alice in Chains records. He'd been the engineer on Stones records. He was the engineer on Remain in Light, which is probably one of the best-selling records, and mixed it. He did Herbie Hancock Rocket. His resume was so diverse and incredible. And we're working on tracks, and sometimes he would rip the song apart, and other times he wouldn't say anything. And so, as the guitar player in the band, I was thinking, this is kind of weird. So, but I was always asking him questions. So I was like, what's your number one secret in production? And he goes, well, sometimes, you have to rewrite the song, change the tempo. You know, change the key. You know, starts off as reggae, ends up as death metal. And other times you just have to get out of the way of the band and help them make a great record. And that's the thing about production. That's the one thing that I see, unfortunately, as a negative at the moment, is people get it's one of my biggest bugbears about what we do maybe on YouTube. And one of the things that's lost and that I don't know what we should be all working on is not just making it about the technical, because that's so easy. Any one of us here, or any human being that's got ability to speak well to people, could watch 6 videos on mixing kick drums and then start making videos on mixing kick drums. True. I could do a mixing drums video. I could teach my son at 10 how to do that, how to do those things. The thing is it's like, why are you making those choices? For what reason? You know, it's when people ask me how to do something, I get a little worried because things are becoming so technical, and it's reflected in all the music that we listen to that's coming out at the moment, which everybody.
It's all how and no why.
Yeah.
There's no principle behind it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So the production thing is such a big question because there is no real answer, but it is definitely. But this is always a double-edged sword. And there's a last thing I'll say about it is like the thing that I love is there's definitely no substitute for acquired knowledge. So if you know how to record a mandolin, a violin, and a metal band, and EDM, and reggae, or whatever, you know all those skills, you're going to be a great producer. But don't forget that when the Beatles broke up, John Lennon was turning 30, and George Harrison was 26. I read a thing with Danny Harrison the other day where he said he had said to his dad, he was 23 and he just finished college. And he said to his dad was like, "I'm so proud of you that you finished college." And Danny said to George, his dad, he said, "So what did you do at 23? He goes, "I think on my birthday, we just were finishing Sgt. Pepper's." So I think, I'm not trying to go, oh, the Beatles are geniuses. That may or may not be your opinion. What I'm trying to say is like, we also have to remember that kids, young people are creative, and they actually are the ones that change the world. Not a bunch of suits in offices or any of our, you know what I mean? It's like, we have to remember that. So I'm always want to temper that discussion because I do believe acquired knowledge is the most important thing. Your 10,000 hours, all of that is so important. But let's remember there's going to be some kid that will send you a track who's 16, your mind's going to be blown.
So I want to respond to that because
Please.
that taps straight into something that I've heard so many times here in Nashville from maybe the older crowd in production engineering. I guess we've discarded engineering now as a profession in this discussion. But,
Get that out of here.
You know, this idea, people talk about music schools popping up, and so many people are learning how to do it, and kids are coming out of school. Oh my gosh, what are they going to do? You know, the music business is disappearing. And I look at it and I'm like, you know, the music business is not disappearing. These kids are coming out of school.
Better.
The reason you can't figure it out is because you're not the young kid who's coming out of school.
It's just changing.
They don't
It's
need
just
us. They're
changing.
going to invent something you never even thought of yet. So
Yeah.
I have high hopes.
There are no more gatekeepers for studios.
Yes.
Well, and even with that, I mean, you look at the music that's popular on the radio. It's not a lot of emulators. It's a lot of like people that are doing something that nobody would have ever thought to do 5 years ago.
Creativity,
It's weird. You know, 21 Pilots is like the biggest touring band in the world right now. They're weird, but people love that. They want that. Mumford and Sons, when they got popular, they were weird.
Exactly.
Who wants to listen to a
Banjo and kick
bluegrass
drum.
band? Yeah. They're
It's
awesome.
all about being creative.
Yeah, it's about being unique.
Exactly.
Makes me think about, we were talking about forums earlier, and they're populated by the people who have a lot of head knowledge.
But a lot of time.
And a lot of time.
It's usually a bad sign.
But it's really hard to actually find a way to listen to something they've worked on because they know all, but their
That's
stuff
why
their stuff
anytime-
sounds like garbage. And so you kind of have to pile back and like, can I hear something you've done before you give me a
press
8
play.
paragraph
That's why I don't say
essay
anything on
on
forums. I don't want them
Full
to come
Tech versus-
find out what my stuff sounds like.
I've done that before. Someone like flamed me about something that I said about something, or I don't know. Remember the situation? I just
It
remember
was me.
Probably Glenn. It's probably Glenn.
About the new line 6 amp. And
And all I said was, "Hey man, I looked at your profile. I couldn't find anything you've ever done. Could you just post something here so I can see who I'm replying to? Because it's so easy to I'm not going to cuss here, to poop on someone's dreams when none of your work is out there in the world.
It's like, man.
But when you're hiding behind a wall, it's a whole different story. But also, you know, I can't take the opinion of anyone who I don't trust. If their opinion is invalid to me, if your work is not what I want to be. So
It's tricky because online, like I had a client that she was getting blocked by a spam filter. So she was trying to get a hold of me. I couldn't find her, or I wasn't seeing the emails. So she lit me up on Twitter, and her following tackled me. Just was like prepared to like go nuts. And it was really tough, but I had to remind myself, I don't know who these people are. They could be like all of them could be 17. I'm just immediately attributing them to, oh, this is, an average peer.
What's the thing? Like, think about like what Vance was talking about today. He was like, someone in the class asked him about analog versus in the box, and he was like, oh, give me my console all day long, right? But then you got guys like Andrew Sheps and Chad Blake who are like all in the box now, and their stuff to me, all three of them sound amazing, right? So I mean, it's
there's no quality. I mean, there is. We're not going to argue about that.
I'm not talking about that
sorry.
specific.
But I know what you're saying.
I'm talking about the guys. I'm talking about the guys in the forums who might argue for one thing, one aspect about music over another.
You can make any of it work.
Completely subjective.
You can make it any of it
and as long
work.
as you're making music and it's hitting you here, that's the only thing that matters.
And circling back on that, if all you do is sit on forums and flame people, that's a pretty good thing to put at the top of the list. If you're not even making minimum wage there, you're just wasting your time. And that's, I don't know. I know I get the addiction. I get that it's fun to like feel smart and feel like you won the fight on the playground.
Can I give one quick tip for anyone still watching? If for some reason you're still watching this, if you're like the type of person you have a lot of self-confidence issues and you're trying to put your work out in the world and you're getting bashed down by mean people, create something that I call the Fave 5. It's like a play off the old T-Mobile Fave 5. You could call all your 5 of your friends, and most of you are too young to remember that. But basically, make a list of the 5 people whose opinion you value in your life, and do not listen to any opinions other than the people on that list. And that will help out a lot with tuning out the noise, because you can always say, when someone shits on your life, sorry, I said I wasn't going to cuss. When someone shits on your life, you can.
It's okay, you didn't say fuck.
I know. When someone sits on your life, you can simply look back on that page, your Fave 5, and say, are they on this list? If they're not, then tune it out and go to one of those 5 people.
So I have to shut 4 of you out right now?
I can back that up.
Sneasel 22.
I can back up that philosophy. I remember, I do my YouTube show, and the problem, I get a lot of flaming heads my way because I have an opinion. And a lot of kids get pissed off because I've got an opinion that doesn't necessarily match up with theirs.
But a lot of people love you too because you have an opinion.
Yeah,
as
that's
well.
true. But I just remember I was feeling a little despondent one day because I was really getting run down in the comment section. Oh, you're an asshole, this, that, or the other thing. And I'm just about. Okay, I was just about to lay down for the evening, and I get a text, and it's from an extremely prominent producer in the metal world. And he's like, dude, I just been watching your stuff all day. Keep going, never stop. And I was just like, okay.
He's on your Fave 5. He's on your
and
Fave
I'm like,
5.
that made my day.
I was going to say, you get to lay down for the evening?
Yeah.
Hey,
this guy's not a hustler.
I want to give a shout out to Rob Burgess asked a very good question. He said, am I blind? Wasn't Matt Boudreau supposed to be here?
Where is Matt?
Wait, where is he? Did we lose him?
Matt is supposed to be here in this crowd.
He just texted. He's with Vance Powell.
All right.
He's probably holding Vance's Grammys or something.
He's here in spirit. If you don't know Matt Boudreau, he has Working Class Audio podcast. Go check it out. It's fantastic podcast.
Awesome podcast.
I want to hit another question. This is a great one, and maybe we can wrap up around this one or not if we don't want to. Music at NFA says, okay, now the crunch question. Would you all give up production, that thing that we had trouble defining, if you had a hit album? What does that mean to
I would
everybody?
say yes, because you can't do both successfully and give it your all. I wouldn't just give it up and never go back to it, but you have to take a step back. If you have a hit album, I don't know what you would consider a hit, but that usually means you have to tour. You have to do
money,
appearances.
right?
It usually means money, yeah. And
Is he asking from a musician or a producer point of view?
I think it was as a producer. Yeah, that's what I
think.
I think production means what you want it to, and hit means what you
I thought you
want
meant
it
as
to.
a musician, if he had a hit album, he's trying to choose between production and being a musician. So what was this question then? I'm
I
confused.
think he's saying, like, basically, if you could work on a record, sells 10 million copies, would you go, okay, great, let's move to the Bahamas?
Right.
Oh,
Exactly.
hell
I think
no.
that's a legit
I think
question.
no
It
one in here
deserves
would
an
say
answer.
yes. No one in here would say
I've
yes.
had albums that have done well, and I certainly didn't. I managed to, I didn't move to the Bahamas.
But I think that
Another
maybe
kid.
I'm never
there is an
retiring.
element of like, yeah, if things go really well, you might start removing some of the stuff that is kind of a pain in the ass and focus on the stuff you really want to
Yeah, you
spend
can
more
hire
time
an
with.
assistant.
Which is like what Graham talked about earlier too, you know.
I think it's a beautiful
Chris
thing.
Graham, not the
Chris
other
Graham.
more famous Graham. The
Yeah, we
more-
got Graham
the
hiding
better
behind
looking,
here.
more talented version Graham.
I'm going to focus on learning everybody's names as soon as I have a hit record.
But I think that's the uplifting thing about this whole group of guys, and at least a lot of my other friends too, is that we'd all be doing this if we weren't making any money. If there was nothing going on, I'd still be making music every day of my life. Right.
And that's what a lot
I
of
think it
us
depends on-
just stumbled into this, and that's why we're here. Yeah,
Do
we
you
stumbled
want to
into it. and made it.
retire someday? I'd never want to retire.
No, never
I
retire.
always
know what that
sounds
word means.
miserable.
It means you die somewhere
Exactly.
the second you retire.
And golf is involved.
Something about golf. I play golf. Let's be honest.
Golf is still involved.
My wife and daughter went to. My wife's Polish. She took my daughter to Poland. I don't know 6 months ago to meet all the relatives and everything. And my son and I stayed at home, which is a lot of fun. You're hanging out with your 10-year-old son, watching inappropriate World War II movies that you shouldn't be watching. All that kind of stuff.
Parenting done
Inappropriate
right.
World War II
Oh, yeah,
movie.
like, this is Fury. There's people's heads are blown. Oh, it's so cool. And he's 10, like, yeah. Anyway, but I always say this to people, do you know what I do when I have time to myself? I play guitar.
Amen to that.
When I got a day off and my family aren't there, I pick up the guitar and play all day. So like, this is all I know.
Yeah. I started taking guitar lessons for the first time in 20 years a couple weeks ago. It's been awesome. It's been
Good for you, dude.
so fun.
Cool.
If this isn't all,
So what's your
if you
hourly
don't
for
love
guitar
music,
lessons?
Lessons are for losers, man.
if you don't love music, then you shouldn't be doing this.
I think that's the cool thing about a business too, is it's just your full expression of who you are. And it has to be probably for you to survive and continue to want to show up and do it, especially getting started.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, please do.
And no, she's not really a question. I want us to talk about this. I want to talk about that empowering thing because I think that really is our job.
I agree.
To really help people and cut through the dogma and the BS and all this stuff. And because I know it is true, if it sounds good, it is good. I mean, people hate that. And I see a lot of debate, but I think it's our job. I really, because even when we're talking and some of the stuff I said, it still opens up a debate and negativity. I think the message is always positive, but I think it's all about empowering because the reason why I like doing the YouTube stuff is because I didn't go to music school and I didn't have any friends that, A&R jobs or anything like that. So I had to work really hard to become successful. And I never was like one of the 6 guys that made every record in America kind of thing. So I've always felt like YouTube was like the great leveler. And now I can talk to people in the same, I can just relay my story because that's what everybody has to do. Is we're all having to do now.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing for me. I want to know more about what you're doing with this, the 100K idea. Because I think that's really cool.
Oh, I'm not going to pitch my stuff here, but you can go to the sixfigurehomestudio.com and sign up.
No, but I think that.
Well,
It's
I
teaching
wanted
business
to
skills.
comment on the
Think back to that
empowerment thing, too.
engineer, the business guy. You're an engineer. You think you've got a 2i2 Focusrite, a laptop, some plugins, and a half decent condenser microphone. You can run a business.
Absolutely, yeah. Another friend of mine, Daniel Grimm from the songwriting team, is not
I know
here
Daniel.
now, but he's a great guy. And he was on the podcast sharing a story of building a $200,000 home studio business out of his bedroom. So which I thought was pretty cool.
I'm 23 and I didn't really start
So old.
doing this until I was probably 19 or something like that. And I mean, we just learned from all of you pretty much.
So you guys have it so unfair. Like, what was that? What were we doing when we were 19? Like, definitely not producing music or doing anything cool.
Playing
Like
music.
maybe you were.
I was
Eating
playing.
laughing.
Okay, I knew
playing
you
in
were.
bands, yeah.
I knew you were. That
Yeah,
was-
I was playing in bands, touring.
I was in band. Yeah.
I was still going to school for the wrong thing.
But I think we're YouTube University graduates. Because we didn't know anything. We just
That's
watched
what I put on
all
my
the
Facebook
content creators
profile.
here.
I graduated from
And
the
I
Google
think
University.
That's really doable today. It's just so accessible, and if you love it and you want to put time into it, then yeah.
It's the empowerment thing, the encouragement thing. It's not just about making money at doing this either. I think it's also about I know for me, I'm somebody who learned how to engineer and produce. Oh, is engineer still a thing? But anyway, I learned how to do
Stop
this
it.
stuff, helping other people make their records, right? But I also there's a thing inside me that always wants to, be playing music too.
I think there's a component there too, that another lie that I see with young people that are trying to do this is this. It's not just this lie, if you build it, they will come. That's not true. You can't just do something and it's so good that everyone wants a piece. You have to actually grind beyond that. But there's this other component of, if I get money for this, then it validates me as a human being. And I am then like my truest self and have achieved, identity. That is a dangerous trap, to see that as, oh, if I can just get paid to do this, then I'll be a professional and then I have identity. You won't. I don't think many people do good work.
That same guy I was telling you about with the website thing, he had this. He used to have like a real estate business, and he found a way to automate something. And I can't remember the full story, but anyway, a guy wrote to him once and said, "Hey, I've got a blog. Give me 50% an affiliate sale of something, and I'll make you a lot of money." And he's like, "Okay, whatever." Tried it. He said he made $200,000 in one day. He was like, "You!" And then the next day he went into a massive depression. Because it was like, he made 200 grand in one day, but he realized he could probably only ever do that once a year. And now I want that back. I want that feeling back. How do I do that?
Chasing the dragon.
Yeah. It's just crazy, isn't it?
I think another big thing, especially for a lot of people who maybe are doing this on the side as a hobby or maybe trying to build up a career, is, you're obviously going to be aware of everyone else who's doing what you want to do. But for me, when I compete against myself, that to me feels like healthy competition versus trying to be better than Warren or anybody else. You know what I mean? Like, because you can't ever quantify that, but I can say the record I just produced is better than the last one I did, and like that I can measure and say, okay, I'm making progress. But
if we're talking about
other measurement is
producing your own record too.
Sure.
You're making a lot of your own music
Sure.
too, which I really admire.
I also tell people, don't make outcome-based goals. Make effort-based goals.
Yeah,
so
I think
it's
that's a
not
big one
like
too.
I want to reach out to 30 bands and record 5 of them or whatever, cold marketing or whatever. It's I want to just reach out to 100 bands or 50 bands or whatever. The goal needs to be the effort you put into it, not the outcome that you get out of it, because you cannot control the outcome of something, especially when it's in someone else's hands or someone else's
I've never heard
control.
somebody say that, but I definitely feel that. Yeah.
So you put your goal based around your own effort and what you can personally control.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't even know if that was on topic, but something you said made me think of that.
I think that's something that people, at least that I struggle with a lot when I first kind of into audio and was running a business and trying to be a producer, of just like, I'm good at this, but no one wants to hire me. Oh, the world's ripped me off. Yeah, the Charlie Brown thing.
I got to say something. I think I was making money as a producer, engineer, musician-y guy for 15 years before I said the words, I work in the music industry, and believed it.
Yeah.
For at least 15.
Yeah, it's hard to own it, isn't it?
I was in like my mid-30s, and I remember, what do you do? And I'm just some random person I just met. Oh, I work in music industry. I like record. Wait there, I believe that. I just said that.
That was a big
That's
thing
cool.
for me between engineering and producing. I really wanted to be what I felt like was producing, but somehow I felt like I couldn't admit to it. I was engineer. I'm an engineer, but I kind of like producing, or I want to do a little more or whatever. And I heard a story, I think it was about Tony Brown, the producer here in Nashville, that when he came and he was interning and he was sitting at the front desk of the studio before he had done anything at all, people would come up and ask him what he did. He says, I'm a producer. So he owned it. It's like, it's the fake it till you make it concept, but it's not really faking it, is it? Just own
That's
it
a line I like.
and
Fake it
say
till
what
you make it.
what you want to do until you do it.
There's a component there too. I think especially for young people, or if you come up as a 22-year-old and say, I'm a producer, every normal grown-up will go, oh, sure, all right. So it's tough.
Are they on your Fave 5 or no?
No.
Woo!
But
Shut 'em down.
It's weird to be at a party with real grown-ups and be 23 years old. I remember being 23 and they go, I produce records. And like some would be like, oh, cool. But the ones that actually knew what they were talking about were like, oh.
So what are you going to be when you grow up?
So you're really, really poor. All
I
right.
got that question.
Look at me now, Mom.
Well, so, hey, does anybody want to hit any last thing that we didn't
I
talk
just
about?
follow up with you. We
Yeah.
were just talking about this, talking about Glenn. Jimmy Weber's wrote Galveston, and by the time I get to Phoenix, American Trilogy.
Yeah.
And he was on I was with a podcast on the radio a few years ago, and he lives in Malibu on the beach, and his parents were like 90, and they still said to him, when are you going to get a proper job?
I love it. Well, gentlemen,
People still watching us? Like, because
I
I can't
think
believe
yeah. I
if
mean,
they are.
the chat's blowing up here. Here's one of my favorite
Snap.
last ones. It says, I'm reading it out of context, but it said, wait, what is it? Something about a pizza. That's all I know. It said
That
something about
sounds
a pizza.
really good.
Can I
Let's
just
see.
say-
Ian's still up. Ian is
Thanks
still
for
up.
actually watching
Yes,
this whole
you
thing.
rock.
If anyone
You're
watched,
up. Thank you, Ian.
Hey,
Go to bed,
everybody,
Ian.
thank
Is
you
it
for
2 in the
being
morning
here.
for Ian?
Yeah, let's go around home. Make sure the Rockstars know how to find you, and everybody does. Dane, how do people find you?
Yeah, check us out. Customtracks.com.
Okay, wonderful.
And I'm Chris Graham at chrisgrahammastering.com. That's GRAHAM.
Go check out Chris's playa.
I
Chris
can't
is
really
a
up
playa
that,
with a
but
playa.
I'm Pete at mixbetternow.com.
I'm Warren Hewitt at warrenhewitt.com and Produce Like a Pro.
You can reach me at mixdown.online.
And that's Chris Salim.
Oh yeah, I didn't say my
Salim.
last name. That's
French Canadian.
He brought
Coach.
me maple syrup in a can. This guy's awesome.
Yeah, with French.
and
label.
you put it in coffee.
Put it in my coffee.
That's not a metaphor. I'm Joe Gilder from HomeStudioCorner.com.
and if you are a struggling home studio trying to increase your income and try to finally make it in this struggling industry, you can go to www.thesixfigurehomestudio.com. My name is Brian Hood, and I've really enjoyed my time here with these fellas.
In a
By the way,
world,
that
you're
was
here
your
for
first
musicians.
free lesson in how to do that right there.
I'm Glenn Fricky. You can find me at youtube.com/Spectre Sound Studios. And I've got the most honest gear reviews on YouTube.
Is your website not
That's a great-
motherfricker.com?
that's a
Just
it needs
ask-
to be.
just
it needs
ask
to
Line
be.
6.
It needs to be.
Wait, I thought we were going to hear the Line 6 story.
Can we hit Line
Come
6 story?
on.
Can we close on that?
Yeah,
Oh,
come
yeah,
on.
let's close on
What
the
are we
review and then today.
There you go.
Oh, the review and today. Okay, yeah, what I learned. Yeah, you got to ask me what I learned today. What I learned is I've got an awful lot of fans in Nashville, except for the guys who work at Line 6. Okay, basically, I want to do an honest review on the Line 6 Spider 5 because I've never really cared for the Spider 5. They have the new model come out, and I'm like, okay, fuck it, I'm gonna do an honest take on this. So I went and bought one with my own cash, and like, okay, plugged it in, and yeah, we kicked it around the studio for a few days, and we're like, wow, is this thing ever terrible? And so we did kind of an Office Space tribute to it, you know, suits, sledgehammer, you know, just smash the living piss.
You
out
do
of
the
it.
slow-mo kicks.
Oh yeah, like
Okay,
the
good.
scissor kicks and the whole deal. Like it was great, and yeah, it was great.
Link
So
in the
anyway,
description.
So I'm at Namm today, and my apologies to the Line 6 guys. They're nice people, but a guy from Yamaha comes over. He's like, "Glenn, I love your show," and I'm like, "You guys own Line 6. How could you possibly love my show?" It's like, "Oh, I'm the keyboard guy. I love your stuff." And I'm like, "Well, you know, that's really cool. I mean, like, I'd love to do some stuff with Yamaha. Maybe check out some of the drums, check out, you know, a few of this." And you know, it's like the one thing the fans of the show keep asking is, "Can you do a real review of the Spider, or not the Spider, the Helix?" You know, that's like their $1,500 pedal board unit. And he's like, "Well, why don't you I go introduce you to the guys at Line 6?" And I'm like, "I don't know. That's such a good idea." I don't know. I was at Mesa in Frankfurt, and I tried out the Helix. It was okay, I guess. You know, but anyway, yeah, the guy brings me over and introduces me to the dude. He's kind of sitting there playing guitar, and he just likes like, "Yeah, I know who you are." And I'm like, "How's it going?" You know, and he's like, "Hey, you did a hit piece on us," and I'm like, "No, I bought that with my own money and gave an honest opinion." "Well, I don't think you're really fair, man, because it's only a $199 amp." And I'm like, "Yeah, well, Joyo's got a $199 amp that'll blow the doors off the Spider." "Well, who's Joyo?" "Another Chinese manufacturer." You know, seriously, they got these little 20-watt solid state amps. Sorry, just illustrating. They got these tiny little 20
Sorry,
watts.
that's a $20 mic there.
Yeah, that's a beta. It's 25.
It's a 58 beta. Yeah.
But they got these little $198 amps with like a tube preamp and a 20-watt solid state power section. They sound great. They do one thing though, but they do it really well instead of having 500 shitty sounds.
They know their place in their niche.
Anyway, so I'm like, you know, he was
Bringing it
cordial, but I'm sure they're, you know, and the thing is, it's like they take it so personally. Look, I'm sorry, you weren't the product designer. You're not the guy who said, "Hey, it's a good idea if you know, you can use the app, except when you try plugging in the digital output, and then the app stops working." That was like there were some really bad design flaws with the
Hey,
amp, in my opinion.
is Line 6 still putting out the DL4, the green
I have no
4-button
idea.
delay pedal? Because that thing.
Okay,
That's
the pedals
amazing.
are
They
great.
sure
It's
are.
great
It's amazing.
until
I
it
have one.
breaks
I use it every day.
inevitably in
No, I
2
don't-
Yeah,
years.
but you know what I did? I fixed it and replaced it with a new
Nice.
one.
There
And
you
it's
go.
still great.
There you go.
The effects
They have a sound.
they have are fine. I just have a problem with the amp sound. That's all.
All right, cool. Well,
Anyway, he was not happy to see me. Let's
I
put it
got
that way.
an idea for ending on a positive note, everybody. I've got an idea for ending on a positive note, and it goes like this.
I want my baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back.
Chili's baby back. Thank you for watching.
Barbecue sauce.
We'll see you later. Baby back.
This show is brought to you by Line 6.
Thanks very much for watching. We'll see you guys around the studio. Cheers.